Face ID didn't fail at Apple's iPhone X event. Device setup did, and then so did the media. During Apple's iPhone X event, Senior Vice President of Software Engineering Craig Federighi had to switch to a backup iPhone X after discovering that Face ID, the feature he was about to demonstrate, had been disabled. Just as with Touch ID, Apple's existing fingerprint identity sensor, Face ID requires a device passcode following a reboot, a period of inactivity, or successive authentication attempts that don't match what's registered on the device. The device even showed a nearly identical message Touch ID shows after successive fingerprint mismatches. In this case, it was enter passcode. Your passcode is required to enable Face ID. It was, plain and simple, a setup failure. This is also why Apple has backup devices available for every demo. No doubt it was an unpleasant moment for Federighi, though he handled it in his usual, jovial manner on stage, and for whoever was responsible for setting up that iPhone X, but it wasn't a failure of Face ID, at least not as a part of Federighi's demo. Not that you'd know that from the coverage. Apple 3.0 Business Insider Watch Apple's Face ID unlocking failed during its big demo. The Telegraph Apple suffers embarrassing demo Face ID fail at iPhone X launch. Mashable Apple tried to show off Face ID, and it was so embarrassing that rumors, doubts and speculation surround Apple's on-stage Face ID fail during iPhone X keynote. The Verge Apple's first Face ID demo failed, but it wasn't Face ID's fault. Vice Apple's stock suddenly dropped after that Face ID fail. While the actual problem was apparent to anyone familiar with how Touch ID already works, it may not have been apparent to everyone watching the event. That's where the media is supposed to step in and help educate and inform people. If Face ID has actual problems, people absolutely need to be told about them. In this case, though, it wasn't Face ID that failed. It was the setup that failed first, and by going for the cheap headlines, the media that failed second. Some of the articles referenced above contain good content, but it's the headlines that readers and the markets will see and remember. That's especially frustrating right now because Face ID is so new and people will naturally have questions and concerns about it. And instead of being part of the education and information solution, they ended up being part of the Face ID FUD. I've had a chance to see Face ID in action for Unlock and Apple Pay in a variety of situations now, and it works as well as Touch ID. Arguably the only differences in preference will be subjective and vary by the individual. Starting November 3rd, people will have a chance to try it and decide, and report, for themselves.